Hello and welcome to a look at Axel's Magic Hammer for the Amiga, a game that was developed by Core Design and released by Gremlin. The plot of this game is that Axel and his girlfriend Lucy are having a right good old time, and wouldn't be much game if that remained the case. So, of course, an evil green dragon appears out of nowhere, thinking that Lucy seems to be an interesting little dish, and off it goes, takes her away, and leaves Axel standing behind, looking rather perplexed. But of course, because Axel is a game hero, he is perplexed for exactly 0.234 seconds before he decides that rescuing Lucy might be a good idea. So he grabs his trusty hammer, which of course is a magic hammer, and sets out going through 8 different locations in order to reach the dragon, defeat the dragon, and rescue Lucy, so everything can be beautiful and lovely gory and all that stuff yet again. Because of course Axel's hammer is a magic one, it is quite capable of smashing stones. Certain stones, of course, they are quite clearly indicated by the graphics. They look like they are somewhat crumbly, and by hitting said stones they will break and usually reveal something. Either they will reveal absolutely nothing, or they can reveal point bonuses or health, or occasionally an enemy which will blast into your face and do some damage to you. Of course, the hammer can also be used to smack enemies, and depending on what type of enemy you're trying to smack, it may take one or several hits in order to dispose of them. But thankfully, the hammer is not just a handheld tool that you can swing at stuff. You can find various power-ups which will improve the hammer. Which is not only a good thing, but I will get back to that later. And the first stage of the power-up allows you to throw the hammer, so you can hit enemies at a distance, but later power-ups will make the hammer significantly more powerful when thrown, and it can break several blocks in one go, which is, again, not only a good thing. Because this is a platformer, which should be fairly obvious by now, it will have various different secrets and all sorts of things to find, and some of the power blocks are in locations where you need other blocks to be present in order to have a chance to reach them. And that is where the power-up that allows the hammer to destroy multiple blocks in one go can be a detriment, because it can, if you're not careful, put you in a position where there's certain blocks you want to reach that you just can't reach because you can't jump to them, because the block that allowed you access to reaching whatever block you're trying to reach has been destroyed. The game likes to put a lot of blocks which can be destroyed near things that you may want to pick up, so you can't rely on having indestructible blocks that will help you access different bonuses and that kind of stuff. Obviously, navigating the levels themselves wouldn't be bad enough or challenging enough, so you also have various different enemies in the shape of animals of various types. and depending on the level, there can be animals, it could be flesh-eating plants, and all that kind of good stuff. And you also have environmental hazards in the shape of water. Axel cannot swim, so any touching of the water is insta drowning. But depending on the level, you will have various different things shooting stuff at you. On the first level, the most dangerous thing you have available is random clouds, which will shoot lightning bolts in a fixed direction. But if you get hit by one of those, you can imagine that that's not going to be particularly funny, and it's actually quite hurtful. Ultimately, the aim is to find the end of level baddie, defeat end of level baddie, and get a key, and move on to the next level. And once you have done that enough times, you have faced off against the dragon and rescued Lucy. Remember, I was saying something about the hammer being able to be thrown is not necessarily only a good thing. This boss thing has to be hit in melee range, and it may have just been me, but I couldn't get the thrown hammer to actually do melee damage, which was a bit interesting. Technical side of things, the graphics doesn't exactly scream spectacular, but it's not bad at all. It is, for the type of game, very, very appropriate, and I'm perfectly happy with the graphics themselves, but I'm not overly happy with the screen transition, which is a full screen shift. I have never been keen on that kind of scrolling, or whatever you call it. I define it as being very, very jarring. I prefer smooth transitions more so than whole screens all the time, but it's something that it's part of the game. Moaning about it is not going to make it go away or change the way it functions. But as I said, graphics-wise, I'm perfectly happy with this game. On the sound side of things, the only music is the title music and a few jingles, and they are entirely decent and nothing memorable. But again, for the game's hype, it's very appropriate and no complaints as such. Depending on what you require from your music, you may find it boring, and you might find it funky, and you might find it completely irrelevant. It's an individual thing, of course. The sound effects are fine. Again, not outright spectacular, but definitely not bad either, and again, fitting for the game. So, sound-wise, yeah, no complaints. Nothing special, but nothing worth moaning about either. The controls are responsive enough as such, but something that has to be mentioned is the fact that when you're trying to jump up at a higher platform level thing defined by the blocks, if you're right up against the block, you cannot jump up them or up on top of them. You actually have to move slightly back and then move forward again to get a bit of momentum, which will give you 4, 5, 6 pixels extra height, which can be the determining factor in making a jump or not making a jump. The game is a platformer, like so many other platformers, and that is probably the one thing that marks against it. Outside of the hammer mechanic, which is somewhat unique, it doesn't offer anything you haven't seen before, or offer anything that you couldn't get somewhere else in another platform game. Certain people seem to have a distinct dislike of this game, and I don't think it necessarily deserves that. It doesn't stand out as being special, but it's, as a platform game, perfectly acceptable. I have no issues with it, and yeah, on that note, thanks for watching, take care, see you next time. Bye bye for now.